प्रेजेंटेशन आ गई यहाँ पे ऐसे
वो तो खैर बाद में ले लूँगा, पहले ही देखने मिलेगी।
We'll get a chance. But first we're going to ask Dr. Ritesh Arya from Arya Drillers in India to come up and speak about groundwater, glacier flooding and global warming in the Himalayas. Thanks very much.
Good morning, everybody. Today I will be presenting groundwater, glaciers, global warming and flooding in Himalayas. Now, groundwater in general is a very poorly understood subject in the mountain regions of Himalayas, and its relationship with glaciers, global warming and the impact it can create on flooding is yet to be understood. We are working on the high altitude cold mountain deserts, and we are presenting a case study based on the Lake Alpine. Now, this relationship of groundwater, global warming, flooding holds the key to solve water problems in the Himalayan mountain regions and also build sustainable habitats in near future. The misconception in the past was that mountains, when we started this project about 17 years back, was mountains were devoid of groundwater, especially in the Himalayan mountain regions. But with the experiments carried out in different hydrostratigraphic zones, we have found that groundwater is available in plenty in the Himalayan mountain ranges. Why we say so? Because all springs which have been used traditionally over the ages are just nothing but manifestation of groundwater resources. Till date, 30,000 borewells have been drilled in the last 17 years in the different hydrostratigraphic zones in the northwestern Indian Himalayas, in 3 states which we have dealt with various different agencies, and we have found water at altitudes about 15,600 feet. We have encountered Arctic conditions at 14,260 feet. All these show that there is ample amount of groundwater, not only at intermountain valley regions or in shallow hills, but almost at the heights and the peaks which we have. We have models to show that every peak which is 8,848 meters below the above the mean sea level will have groundwater resources. Now, the fact is, glaciers are receding due to global warming. Some of the glaciers, as you are seeing here, have already become extinct. But this is another slide. This shows that this is the entire glacier which was existent here. This is in the dark region of the Himalayas, and it has already receded. And there was no man-made activities, no man-made interventions, and still these glaciers receded. Now, the relationship between global warming, groundwater, glacial bed and flooding. So, when the global warming due to climate changes is increasing, what is happening is everything is increasing. The temperature is increasing, leading to glacial bed. This slide basically summarizes the relationship between all the activities. The glacial belt is increasing, the water in the system increases, and the groundwater also increases in the mountain regions. Now, mountain regions leading to flooding activities, this will come. This is how the schematically are shown. The glacial belts increase due to global warming. The groundwater percolates into the mountain regions in the various hydrostratigraphic zones which are identified. Once this is good for the use for drinking and agricultural purpose, but once this groundwater increases the threshold, then these mountains burst, and this mountain bursting phenomena is yet to be understood. So we are just trying to show that mountain bursting in the Himalayan mountain regions is going to be the next event to be watched, and the mountain flash floods will lead to the ultimate destructions of the lowland valley regions downstream. Now, what does this study imply for the policy makers? This is important. So, if groundwater is increasing in the system, we emphasize that we should extract explore and develop as much groundwater as possible to solve the water problem in the mountain regions. This is economical and sustainable solution, and for the last 17 years, not even a single well drilled, I'm telling you, drilled systematically, geologically, properly explored, has done dry or reported any decrease in the discharge compared to the views expressed of depleting water resources world over. Now these are the happy moments. This is the village. This is a project. This was a project initially 1997 funded by WaterAid. So we drilled a well on the Indo-Tibetan border. This was for the Tibetans who migrated in 1959, and this is a village very near. They were facing a lot of problem in winters because of freezing of water resources and flooding of water resources. And we had a Puga geothermal site here very near to vicinity, so the water complex. So groundwater was a solution for them. Now for the last 11 years they are having absolutely no problem with the water, and they are drinking water in the school. This is a Tibetan SOS school. Now the second aspect is, this is the positive aspect of groundwater development, of solving the drinking water problems, industrial problems. Now the other side of groundwater increase in the mountain regions due to global warming is the floods. Now this is very typical, how a groundwater can induce floods in the mountain regions. So we are trying to make now studies to show that last civilization, the Indus Valley civilization, may owe its extinction to the maximum flooding which occurred due to mountains bursting in the past. That was maybe a phenomena which took place about 5,000 years ago or more. So this is what is happening is now everyone is trying to concentrate on the valley regions. This is just a slide to show that we are concentrating our habitations in the valley regions. A small flood, you can see here that a small flood can cause the entire devastation and destroy the entire habitations, which is what we are concentrating on. Now this is a case study which we have taken up in Khardungla catchment, which is Ladakh, at an altitude of about 3,000 meters of the mean sea level. The highest peak is at the Khardungla glacier, which we have taken study, is about 18,600 feet. So why we have taken this is because it is easily accessible and the documentation is very easy. We have done about a number of borewells for the last 12 years in this, and we have got ample amount of record which is available, and the receding characteristics of the glaciers can be very easily documented here. Now you see, this is one of the sites where this is the Indus River here, and Khardungla glacier is at the top at 18,600 feet. This is about 11,000 feet here. We have drilled borewells almost across this axis up to 15,600 feet. And here last year we drilled a borewell and we found the confluence of Indus glacier. That is the first time we discovered the presence of Indus glacier. We have heard about Indus river, but evidences of Indus glacier. And also the Khardungla glacier. We call this the Khardungla glacier. And the confluence, we were drilling wells here and we found that evidences of Khardungla glacier and Indus glacier here. So now it has receded about 90 kilometers, and you can see at the top Khardungla glacier is now restricted to the peaks. So no man-made activity, no industrialization, still the glacier had receded in the past. And important thing is they made the habitations pattern in the past was very well organized. They never concentrated on the flow of the glacier. Now these are on the basis of the evidences from the glaciers, we have been able to identify these paleo channels from where we are getting this groundwater, and only the paleo glaciated channels. This is important now. Only the paleo glaciated channels are giving us ample amount of water. The surface water is not giving us that much amount of water. All the aquifers which we are getting on perennial sources and giving us a lot of discharge are glaciated channels. Now groundwater in the last 5-6 years has become a household commodity. Every hotel, people who have visited Leh about 5-6 years back and now they visit. So you have ample amount of water. Earlier there was quite scarcity of it. So groundwater has really created a tremendous amount of socio-economic changes in the library of life, the people are living there. Now what are the implications? Now the place I am talking about is almost 6 months in a year. It is cut off from the rest of India, and you have freezing problem. The water, the river Indus Creek is there. You can just walk on river Indus, and we have charter expeditions, and in summers there is flooding problem. So groundwater has turned out to be such a simple and an economical solution, and it has really changed from unreliability, from uncertainty to certainty, unreliability to made the entire system self-sufficient, and it holds the solution for ushering a green revolution in near future in that cold, high altitude cold mountain deserts. Now, these are the few pictures showing how people still were waiting for water, and water sources drying up in various regions of Himalaya. The tankers, water tankers, still in some places are the only way of getting water for the people. And this is a slide showing what all the streams you see, the waterfalls freezes, the streams freezes, where people have to collect water, ice, and then they melt it. This is the snow which they have built and get water in the past. Now the things have changed due to groundwater development. Now they are getting almost water even at temperatures where it was minus 60 degrees. Last year we built a well at Dras, that is the second coldest place, habitated coldest place in the world. So groundwater was a solution there also. So this is another groundwater development, and these are the evidences of Indus Glacier being discovered for the first time. And now the utilization process, animals, happy children, all the slides you see, most of them, women and children are taking water, and they are happy because they don't have to get water from far away distance. Wherever water is required, we give water here and there. So that is the significance of groundwater development. Now the important question is, if we are going to pump all our resources into groundwater resources, what is the time? How much time these resources are going to last? This is a very important question all over the world, which is asked, how much groundwater. So we should not generalize. In Himalayan region, the amount of groundwater is enormous, and even though the glaciers are receding, still the potential is very good. So we have shown that the life of groundwater is directly proportional to the glacial melt. Even if we have a small amount of glacier in the mountain regions, anywhere we have groundwater. So these are the basic models and the theories which we are working on. Maybe at times it may be contradictory to you, but these are practical experiments which we have been carrying out for the last 17 years. And this is the remains of the Khardungla Glacier, which was extending up to 19 kilometers. Now this is what is left, but still we are happy. And this is the source of water for the entire lake catchment, and now and in future. Now the problem is today, due to economic compulsions. Now economic compulsion is driving all habitations into the valley regions. Because we get plain regions, water is easily accessible, don't have to cut a lot of material for building houses, so everything is being concentrated in the valley regions. This is the biggest problem now. We are ignoring the geological knowledge, and due to economic compulsions, we have some policies of the government also to make industrialization in the valley regions, and that is driving us into regions which were initially considered to be fragile for habitations and industrialization. So what is happening is ignorance of geological knowledge. Ignorance is making them to make buildings and industries in valley regions, and this is a major threat which will be faced in near future. But what happens is a small simple flood can lead to heavy devastation in near future. This is happening world over. The valley regions are being flooded with habitations because of a number of reasons. Ignoring the geological knowledge is very important for groundwater development, sustainability, as well as building good habitats. Now you see, this is about Khardungla, this is about 18,000 feet. Initially, in the past, this was considered to be good for agriculture. Now this is Indus River, that is about 13,000 feet. So this entire valley region was good only for agricultural purpose. They used to pray so that Khardungla glacier should not harm their habitations, and they used to work in the fields in the day. Now what has happened is, this has dried up, but all the water is seeping into it, and we have drilled wells here which show that debris of about 300 feet, 100 meters or more is available there. So that is going to move due to this thrusting, and then the habitation is being incorporated into these valley regions, and the entire habitations goes for 6 when a small flood or a small slide occurs. Now if cyclones, earthquakes, tsunamis and hurricanes are events which we have been talking about in the coastal regions world over. Mountain flash flooding event is an event to be watched in near future. This phenomena is today poorly understood. We don't have any paleo studies. We need to give more emphasis on understanding this, and this holds the key for our survival. So need of the hour, I'd just like to conclude by saying that understanding this relationship between groundwater, global warming, glaciers is essential for our very survival in the mountain regions and also in the valley regions, because anything, mountains I consider to be the headwater regions of any catchment, whether it's in this valley civilization, whether it's Brahmaputra, Sanko or any other civilizations. If anything is happening in the mountain regions and you are not worried about monitoring these resources properly in the mountain regions, if the head is not okay, your entire body systems goes wrong. So emphasis should be on studying, but you see everywhere you talk about no mountain hydrogeology, no paper on mountain hydrogeology, no paper on mountain groundwater, no paper on mountain water resources. So emphasis should be on mountain hydrogeology. If your head is right, everything is right. That is what it is like. Preservation of glaciers. Now, economic compulsion was one thing, and the second thing was we had some political problems, so we have to keep the roads open. So I'm talking about the Khardungla catchment, it's not generalized. So this military compulsion is also driving roads at the top of the peak. We have cleared the glaciers so that the road. So that preservation of, we are talking about preservation of animals, we are talking about preservation of glaciers, how we can preserve them. Skiing is, we are doing skiing, or we are building some resorts in the mountain peaks where we are disturbing the glacial concentration, not allowing the glaciers to flourish. We are destroying the seeds of the glaciers. So that has to be taken into consideration, because until unless we preserve these glaciers, we don't interfere in their growth, then we will be different. Now utilize groundwater to the maximum. This is an important question. We have to utilize groundwater because it's most economical and the cheapest resource available till now. We have to use it judicially. It is not over-exploitation, but we have to use it judicially. We should develop groundwater to the maximum, but you should use it judicially. That is very important. If I have to draw blood from my body, it is from every 2 or 3 months I can draw about 100 or 200 ml, but then I can live also, and the glacier can also live, and everything works very well. Now, utilize groundwater to the maximum, and groundwater, I have already told that it's available almost below Mount Everest, any peak I can get groundwater probably. Yeah. And select habitations for sustainable development. I think that is it, and I'm also with my last slide, making everybody happy. These are the Ladakh. We have a hackathon drill here, and they are so.
Since you have the bold.
Recording.
This is good morning. Drew Parker is the senior advisor for emergency that I lead up. He also was formerly the chief of water sanitation and hygiene in our Pakistan office. So, Drew, if you're ready, could you please kick off with your keynote address? Thank you.
Often offer a leverage opportunity to ensure due consideration for secure allocation to drinking water. Coastal and urban locations are increasingly disaster prone, and the risks are obviously greatest where these two overlap. and this is often the case in South Asia. But I'd like to focus attention on the area that I believe carries the greatest risk to us all. That's the urban setting, which by 2008 housed over half the global population. And in coming years, it's estimated that 90% of population growth in the developing world will be in the urban sector. Millions are projected to live in cities in the coming decades, and 4/5 of people in India's megacities are projected to live in substandard conditions. The urban settings generally show that the vulnerable are located on marginal land, where the risks are highest, the hazards are greatest, and they have the least formal support and infrastructure. In Haiti, for example, there's been a steady flow of poor rural migrants to already overcrowded urban slums. The availability of potable water is 54% in Port-au-Prince, but only 25% in holistic wash programming in urban settings. This leaves the software and the community engagement to CBOs, faith-based organizations, local NGOs, and usually on small-scale projects. Emergency response in the urban sector, unlike in the rural context, struggles to actually deploy seasoned and experienced practitioners. And this, I believe, is of critical concern given the increasing risks, especially on support. We don't have internal emergency capacity for urban. We utilize a standby agreement with a private sector utility company, Veolia, to access suitably experienced staff on a pro bono basis. So there are significant opportunities to explore linkage to the private sector or to access and deployment of public sector employees to help tackle infrastructural challenges. But it doesn't actually help us a huge amount in addressing the holistic WASH programming and needs in the informal urban settings. So it's both logical and essential that we explore opportunities to enhance our ability to respond to the WASH needs in urban settings. In terms of systems, there's a need to build in system redundancy for essential services and locations. Pipe networks, either servicing water or sewage, are extremely vulnerable to damage and to maintenance shortfalls. The centralized treatment of water carries with it the inherent risk of contamination, of increased contamination. The more you centralize, the more the risk is raised, and the dependency on maintenance. Especially as a lot of the water and sewage systems are subsurface and well past their design life. Rawalpindi in Pakistan has begun a replacement of overlapping water reticulation systems dating back, some of them, to the start of the last century. Many of these were laid alongside sewer pipes. Most of them, both the sewage and the water, have leaks. And any drop in the water main's pressure can result in suckback. Disaster and conflict invariably compromise the functionality of such systems and escalate risk accordingly. In population centers post-conflict and post-disaster, speedy restoration of essential services is critical. The importance of long-term planning can't be overemphasized. The Haiti floods in 2008 illustrated the folly of building municipal boreholes without due regard to potential flooding, both with casings and electrical switchgear placed in vulnerable locations. Development planning initiatives and timelines are all too often defined by political tenure. Yet risk to wash 70% of the pumping equipment in the Magri treatment plant, the main municipal treatment plant, and had to supply generators to keep the place operating. And for the next 8 months, we supported government in chasing and repairing leaks.
Thank you very much, Drew. I think with our keynote speaker, we've set a context for looking at the 3 questions which you can see were posed to this session, which are, what have we learned from the past? What's the potential for the future? And one of the ways forward to speak to us about their 30 years of field experience in post-conflict and post-disaster settings.
On WEDEC's involvement with emergency post-conflict relief in the water sanitation sector, which goes back to the early 1970s. Some of you may even remember the Oxfam loop.
To ask our third speaker to come up. This is the final oral presentation. Point out to you, you are going to have a chance